Hey everybody, it's Luke Miller from Real New York Tours, and I am with the beautiful Ruby and Castle. And today we're going to talk about the Empire State Building, which was completed in 1931. It was the tallest building in the world when it was completed. What made it so amazing was that it was completed ahead of schedule and under budget during the Great Depression. Which was it's just unheard of even in the best of times, right? But here during the Great Depression, here was this thing rising into the sky. It was kind of like a beacon of hope for people during the Great Depression.
Twin Towers, they rised up in the sky.
They did. 3,400 people a day worked on the Empire State Building, and they were doing literally 4.5 stories a week. I mean, this was just phenomenal. But the
Nobody could do that.
Nobody. But the building did have a hard time making a profit afterwards. Like I said, it was built during the Great Depression. They had a really difficult time getting people to rent that office space. In fact, it even became nicknamed the Empty State Building.
But it's the Empire State
Yes,
Building.
it was the Empire State Building, not the Empty State Building.
No, because nobody wanted to go and it was all empty. Because when this house was when it was alone, it was all empty.
Yes, that is true. They even did all sorts of little stunts to try and excite people about the building, little marketing stunts. They actually had a seance on the 82nd floor trying to contact Thomas Edison. That was one of their famous stunts they did. They would also often leave all the lights on the upper floors, even though they were empty, in order to make people think that the office space was rented and to make it seem more attractive to people. Obviously, the building would become highly successful over the years. Also, King Kong scaled it once. The Great Ape of the 1933 classic film of King Kong. But also, one of my favorite stories about it is that they actually had this brilliant idea to use the spire of the Empire State Building as a mooring mast for blimps. They thought that dirigibles would be the next great form of transportation. We can park a blimp up at the top and we can lasso it around the spire, and people could walk a plank, head in to the 102nd floor, come down the elevator, boom, be right there in the heart of Manhattan. They tried it once and they realized that the wind was so powerful up there that this just was not a viable option. But my favorite story about the Empire State Building actually has to do with a woman named Betty Lou Oliver. And this might be a little bit inappropriate for kids, so I'd like you guys to cover your ears for this story just because it is just a little bit inappropriate for children. There you go. You guys. So, okay, you guys can't hear this. Perfect. So just yeah. So Betty Lou Oliver was the elevator attendant on for the Empire State Building. Betty Lou Oliver went to work on July 28th, 1945. It would be her last day of work. She was actually quitting after this day. And it was like any other normal day of work, so she thought. She was at her stand on the 80th floor. Little did she realize that a Captain William Smith, who was flying a B-25 bomber transporting soldiers from Massachusetts to LaGuardia Airport, had lost his way in fog coming over Manhattan. Captain William Smith was supposed to hang a left over at the Chrysler Building, but instead hung a right and slammed into the 80th floor of the Empire State Building. Now, Betty Lou Oliver would be thrown from her stand. She suffered a broken neck, a broken back, a broken pelvis, severe burns. In total, 14 people would die from this horrible event. But Betty Lou Oliver actually would survive. Paramedics would get there on time. Firefighters would put out the fire. And they put Betty Lou Oliver onto a gurney and pushed her into the elevator at the 80th floor. But nobody had realized that the cables from the elevator had been highly damaged and compromised during the impact. And the moment they pushed her on the gurney, they snapped. And Betty Lou Oliver would free fall 80 stories in the elevator. Now, because the cables actually snapped before her, she had literally 1,000 feet of cables that landed before the elevator landed. And that would cushion her fall, as well as the compressed air from 1,000 feet of a free fall. And Betty Lou Oliver would survive. She is actually in the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest elevator free fall. Hold on. And she would go on to live to the ripe old age of 74 years old. If you ever think that you are having a bad day, just think of Betty Lou Oliver. Yes, guys.
First one, she had 3 kids.
Yeah, oh yeah, she had 3 children too. That is true.
Just like the Brady Bunch.
Just like the Brady Bunch. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Real New York story. Hope you guys are safe and well. Sorry for all the interruptions, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.